is up, guys? Amalgamaniac here with another reaction video. So, right now, I will be watching, I don't remember who, sorry, my nose is itching. I'm not picking it, it's itching. So, right now, I'm going to be watching a video. I don't remember who put it together, but it's worst to best, every Spider-Man cartoon rank. So, I had to Google because I forgot how many cartoons there were, and from Wikipedia, Wikipedia says there are 9 Spider-Man series over the vast decades. So apparently in 1967 there was a Spider-Man cartoon, and then 1981, and then Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends also came out in 1981. I actually watched that one a good bit growing up. Like, I wasn't old enough to watch it when it first came out, because I wasn't born yet. That's like 10 years before I was born. 11 years before I was born. But I actually did grow up watching that show a good bit. As well as the next one, Spider-Man 1994 and Spider-Man Unlimited 1999. Now those, I watched those every morning before I went to elementary school. So, yeah, I freaking love those. And then there's Spider-Man, the new animated series, 2003, with Neil Patrick Harris, I believe. I didn't really get into that one. I think that's one that was on MTV. I don't know. I just wasn't a big fan of that one. Then the Spectacular Spider-Man, which, in my opinion, is arguably one of the best cartoons, period. Marvel or DC. Yeah, you can fight me on that. But, yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man's great. It came out in 2008, which coincidentally is the year that the MCU started. So, obviously, the MCU doesn't tie into Spectacular Spider-Man because of copyrights and such. But, I thought that was a good coincidence. The year the best Spider-Man cartoon came out is also the year that the best movie franchise has come out. So that's when it started. And then we had Ultimate Spider-Man. I despise that cartoon. It's funny because the best Spider-Man cartoon was followed by arguably one of the worst Spider-Man cartoons, with Drake Bell. I don't dislike Drake Bell as a musician, but as Spider-Man, I hated him. Although maybe I would have liked him better if they didn't try to turn him into Deadpool doing all that fourth wall crap. Anyways, and finally we have Spider-Man 2017. Now, I think I've only watched a couple episodes of that. But from what I saw, I didn't hate it. I know people have a lot of mixed reactions to it. Personally, I was hoping they would have brought Josh Keaton back. My words are jumbling up. Personally, I wanted them to bring Josh Keaton back to play Peter Parker, but they picked somebody else whose name I don't remember. But he didn't do bad. I assume, is it still going? I hadn't even checked recently, but apparently some people said to the people who had mixed reactions that it got better as it went. So maybe I have to pick it back up again. So, yeah, like I said, from what I saw, I didn't hate it. So, this video is for worst to best. And so, I went ahead and made a list of my own from worst to best. Now, personally, I am not attached to the 1967 and 1981 Spider-Man. So, I also put them as 9 and 8 from worst to best. Like I said, I don't have any connection to them except from the memes, but yeah. So at number 7 is also, I guess it's in order as well, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, 1981. Now the 7 is where I really start actually thinking about the quality of it. Now, the thing with Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends is they were fun shows to watch, but they definitely do not measure up with today's standards as far as the quality of the animation goes, which is understandable since it came out in '81. And oddly enough, number 6 on my list is Ultimate Spider-Man, which is the exact opposite, because visually it's, for the most part, it's pleasing to look at, but it's overall disappointing. I know there's some cool parts in it, but I dreaded it. Every time I saw it coming on, I'm like, oh, crap. Okay, give me the remote. What else is on? So, which is disappointing because I love Spider-Man. But at number 5, I have Spider-Man, the new animated series with Neil Patrick Harris. Like I said, I never got into it, but I know it has a cult following, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was put further up on the list. So yeah, at number 4, I had Spider-Man Unlimited, because that's one of the classics for me. I mean, I loved how the suit looked and all the abilities the suit had, and somebody else just left me another comment. Yay! So, yeah. Anyways, like I said, I like the Spider-Man Unlimited suit and the abilities it had. And the voice actor was actually pretty good too, and I don't remember who it was. But it was not the same person who did it in the '94 cartoon. Who keeps leaving crap? Okay. So yeah, at number 3, I have Spider-Man 2017. Like I said, I have only watched the first few episodes, but I didn't hate what I saw, and I'd definitely be willing to pick it back up to see how well it's progressed. And even from what I saw, I think it deserves to be in the top 3 in my opinion. That's probably an unpopular opinion, but I will deal with that. So, at number 2, I have Spider-Man 1994. Not surprising, because besides Spectacular Spider-Man, which I also have as number 1, Spider-Man 1994 is considered like the Spider-Man cartoon to watch. So, both cartoons are great, but in my opinion, it wasn't a difficult decision to put Spectacular Spider-Man as number 1. And personally, I guess I wish, because I doubt it's actually going to happen. They need to do the Young Justice treatment to Spectacular Spider-Man. Revive it for season 3, because 2 seasons of Spectacular Spider-Man wasn't enough. I needed to see more. So, I also recall Spider-Man 1990. No, that was Unlimited I'm thinking about. Because Unlimited ended on a freaking cliffhanger. The whole series ended on a cliffhanger, which I thought was stupid. But anyways, let's see what the person who put this mashup together thought. So, let's see how wrong I am.
This video is brought to you by Brilliant.
This video is brought to you by Brilliant.
Spider-Man cartoons. They've aired on different networks through the years, from ABC to MTV to Disney XD and more. They all really reflect when they were made too, so looking back on them almost functions like a crash course in the history of animation on television. So before I start, I want to say that in a way, I value all of these shows. But come on, we all know that some are a little or a lot better than others.
Yep.
So I'm going to dig in and rank them from less than amazing to the absolute best.
Okay, number 9.
Number 9, Spider-Man
You
Unlimited.
lie!
So I know this show has its fans, and I'll probably take a little heat for this, but man, I do not like Spider-Man Unlimited.
I thought it was interesting.
Spider-Man hitches a ride into space where he finds himself on a planet in the middle of a civil war involving animal-humanoid hybrids.
I liked it.
If you're listening to that and thinking, that doesn't really sound like Spider-Man, you'd be right. That's my main problem with this show. Everything that makes Spider-Man Spider-Man is stripped away.
You lie?
With a series set on an alien world that could feature literally any superhero as its lead. Most of the old cast from the 1994 series is gone, replaced with a bunch of goofy new characters that Fox probably expected to sell a lot of toys with. Well, that didn't really work out, and the show was canceled before the first season even finished.
Yep.
I will say this for the
freaking
show,
cliffhanger.
the animation was pretty slick for TV in 1999. Still, the fact that this doesn't even feel like Spider-Man to me lands it pretty firmly at the bottom of my list.
I mean, I see the
Number
criticism,
8,
but
Spider-Man 1981. The 60s cartoon
okay, well, I got
doesn't
8 right.
exactly hold up that well, but it's definitely more fun to go back and watch than this very boring early 80s update. It's not bad exactly, it's just totally uninspired. You can tell that the writers were really just cashing a paycheck, and the animation is pretty dull as well. Overall, there's just not that much to say about this one. As an introduction to Spider-Man and his world, it probably did a perfectly fine job for kids back then, but there's very little reason to go back to it now unless you want to be a total Spidey completist.
7.
Number 7.
Yep.
Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. The second Spider-Man cartoon.
I've got 2 out of 3 so
1981,
far.
and by far the more ambitious one, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends gets big points from me for being the first Spider-Man show to really dive into the larger Marvel universe. Now, it's not great storytelling by any means, but Amazing Friends was trying to do so much more than its companion solo show. In addition to introducing Iceman and Firestar as co-leads and as friends of Peter's from college, it also had episodes with Doctor Doom, the X-Men, and Captain America. It was even the first ever appearance of Wolverine on TV. Yeah, he has an Australian accent for some reason, but I mean, he's there.
How you doing? Want a piece of fruit?
Overall, Amazing Friends isn't a great show,
How
but
you
it's
doing?
far more ambitious than the
Piece
ones
of
that
fruit.
came before it, and expanded the web-slingers world more than anyone had ever seen outside of comics.
Spider-Man
Plus, the
and
episodes
his
with the evil
amazing
video
friends.
arcade machine Video Master are pretty great.
6.
Oh no!
My list is screwed up now.
Number 6, Spider-Man
because he put
1967.
Ultimate Spider-Man
So,
at the
this
top.
Is a weird
I
one,
mean, Spider-Man
because
Unlimited.
I debated putting this show both at the bottom of the list or a little closer to the top. The thing is, it's not good, but I kind of love it. It's so goofy and cheap looking with storylines that feel totally hallucinatory at times. It was also my first introduction to the character. I remember watching it, I think on
Spider-Man,
VHS at a daycare when I was like 4 or 5,
whatever
and
is
having my
Spider-Man.
mind totally blown. Looking at it now, that's pretty hard to imagine. But still, it's the show that launched 1,000 memes for a reason. It is really funny to watch now. There's absolutely no internal logic to it half the time. Like, look at this. What is this? What am I looking at here? I have no idea, but whatever it is, I love it, stiff animation and all. Number 5, Ultimate Spider-Man. So I think that
Almost.
in my video about the newest Spider-Man show, I said that
I had
liked
Ultimate Spider-Man is
more,
6.
And I gotta say, going back and rewatching some episodes for this video, I was wrong. I kind of can't stand this show. Now don't get me wrong, it looks good, it's got some solid voice acting, and every once in a while it has some really decent joke writing. But, and keep in mind, this is coming from someone well outside of its target demographic, I just find it really annoying. Like, it gives me a headache. It's doing a very specific thing, and I guess it's doing that well, but that thing is just really not for me. Now, I've heard the later seasons improve, and I
Yeah, I've
don't
heard
doubt
that too.
that's true. But this version of Peter Parker just doesn't really feel like Peter Parker to me. Anyway, I'll move on from this one since I probably just sound like a cranky old man right now.
Number
Number
4.
4, Marvel Spider-Man. So remember how I said that the 1981 show wasn't terrible? It was just kind of boring and uninspired? The most recent Spider-Man series kind of feels like that, but for the 2010s. Now, maybe
Well, I had
that's kind of harsh. It's
Marvel
actually not
Spider-Man
bad
at
these
3.
days. I think it's really improved over the course of its run.
Put Spider-Man
And it has a
Unlimited
big
at
advantage
number
over
9
much older
throughout
shows.
my
And that while I
list.
don't love the animation, it is inarguably more fast and fluid, resulting in some pretty good action scenes. As the show has gone on, the character work has improved as well, to the point where I actually kind of like this show now. I don't ever see it cracking the top 3 spots, but I don't think it's a bad watch
I did.
either. Number 3, Spider-Man, the new animated series.
I had that as 5.
2003 was a weird time for Spider-Man. His first movie had just come out a year earlier and was a much bigger hit than anyone expected. And suddenly the character wasn't just an old icon, he'd become a new phenomenon. Which is probably why MTV, of all networks, was eager to scoop up a new animated show about his college adventures. Acting as both this weird quasi-sequel to the first Raimi movie and a very loose adaptation of the Ultimate Comics, the result was a show that I don't think looks great today due to some very dated CG, but it was very solidly written. MTV was probably a bad match for Spidey since the show only lasted 1 season, but it did allow the writers to be much more mature than most Spider-Man cartoons could ever be. And that really paid off, as the show did a lot of great stuff with Peter, MJ, and Harry Osborn. It's really too bad that the animation looks like it does and that it only lasted 1 season, because otherwise I think this could have gone toe-to-toe with the best.
Old spider sense tells me he's over there.
Two has to be 94.
Number 2, Spider-Man the Animated Series. What can I say about this show that hasn't been said already? It's a classic, and especially at the time, it blew away all other Spider-Man adaptations with ease, with its long, winding story arcs and intense focus on Peter as a character.
I love this show.
It's really only beaten by Batman's animated series as the best superhero cartoon of the 90s. These days, it is easy to see the cracks. The animation is very stiff by today's
They repeat a lot of
standards, and
scenes
some of the
too.
voice acting can be unintentionally funny, but overall it still holds up as a pretty incredible version of the webhead. I think where the show really shined was with its villains, with its versions of Hobgoblin and Venom being almost the definitive versions of those characters in my mind. Like, when I picture Venom, to this day, it's kind of this Venom that I'm thinking of. I also love that it's not afraid to get really big and cosmic. Sure, the episodes could get clunky, but they always took really big swings. Also, this show has an amazing J. Jonah Jameson, maybe the best ever outside of J.K. Simmons. I could honestly talk about this show all day, but I'll try to move on to number 1.
Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah.
You probably predicted this because, yeah, it is kind of predictable. But for me, this is just the best version of Spider-Man ever put on TV. So much care was put into the writing of this show that it takes it out of the realm of just being a good kids cartoon and makes it a great TV show, period. The dialogue is sharp, the plotting is perfectly paced. In its 2 short seasons, it's kind of hard for me to find anywhere where it really tripped up. The animation might not be all that much to look at when judging by screenshots, but it really shines in those action scenes, where all the money and time saved by the more simplistic designs really shows up on screen, giving us some of the most fast-paced and thrilling Spider-Man battles I've ever seen. It may not have lasted long, but in its short time on the air, I think it really earned the top spot on this list. One thing that's been really interesting to see across all these interpretations of Peter Parker, even in SpiderMan Unlimited, is how many of them retain the character's love of science and learning. Peter Parker may not be Tony Stark levels of insane genius, but I think his more grounded love of science is a lot more relatable. And maybe that's a big part of why I enjoy Brilliant so much. These last few weeks, I've really been digging into the Science Essentials course. I'm gonna be honest, even though I love it, science was never one of my strongest suits in school. I was always more of an English guy.
Brought to you by
exactly
Brilliant.
What makes this course so great. It makes science approachable and fun in equal parts. I've had Brilliant on as a sponsor a few times, and one thing that I always want to touch on is how
Math
they
and
encourage
science
a
done
different way
right.
to learn. Instead of just memorizing rote formulas and having you solve problems with them over and over again, Brilliant is always surprising you, but never forcing you into boring repetition. So it actually makes it a really entertaining challenge in addition to being a great way to learn. And if you think you're a little bit beyond Science Essentials, don't worry, because there is a ton of courses on here to try out. So to support the channel and learn more about Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/midnight and sign up for free. Oh, and also, the first 200 people that go to that link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription.
Free sign up at brilliant.org/midnight.
So I encourage you to go over there and check out all the courses they have on offer.
Get a 20% off subscription.
Girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join us
You may
once,
now
because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started, because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes.
Okay. Spider-Man and his amazing friends. So yeah, I got a few of those right. I got 1 and 2 right, 8 and 7 right, and then from there it all just got jumbled. I was surprised that he actually, for the most part, had Spider-Man 2017 closer to the top. He had it at 4. I had it at 3. But you did Spider-Man Unlimited dirty. Okay, that deserved to be farther up there. I mean, I get your criticism. I wouldn't have put it at number 9 though. Like I said, I didn't watch the MTV Spider-Man too much. I guess I'm just surprised that it got up to number 3. I had it at number 5. I forgot where he put Ultimate Spider-Man. I think he had Ultimate Spider-Man at number 5, actually. Yeah. So we might have lined up on Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends too. I don't quite remember. But yeah, that was a good video. We agreed for the most part. You did Spider-Man Unlimited dirty. That's just wrong. So, yeah, that's it, guys. If you like the video, like, subscribe, and share. Leave your comments down below, and I will see you on the flip side. Whoop, whoop.